So why don't we start this off with talking about some of your new projects? I've heard you've got a lot of stuff in the works right now.
I'm doing 4 issues a year now instead of 1. That's a big deal for me. It's like I wake up and do stuff now. It's weird.
So it's 20th anniversary of Lenore.
What's that about?
Why don't you tell us a little bit about like what is going to be coming out this year? What kind of special stuff you've got coming out? I think. Let's see. We got this. We got
I have to think about it. I'm like, what special stuff do I have? I have no
well,
idea.
you have the like you said, 4 issues a year. We've got all these issues. Issue number 5 is just published.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's a preview.
And we've got Lenore on iPhone and iPad and everything.
Those are dumb.
I say make it for Kindle because I have a Kindle.
I have no say in that. I just turn the stuff in and they do their thing.
Awesome. Okay, so before we get back into this, okay, I want to talk about taxidermy because I loved it. So actually, here, everybody, this is his new book. It's come out in winter of last year, I want to say.
That sounds about right.
Okay. And you can get this at the C2E2 store. Beautiful artwork. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. This is my favorite.
Those are some bad kitties right there.
That cat have an armband on?
Yeah, but it's not. It's just got a spider on it.
Okay.
He's not a Nazi cat. I don't think that has those.
Spider Nazi cat.
Yeah. I don't think that cat has, any beliefs, like horrible belief systems.
So what made you decide to do an art book?
Well, I had a lot of art, and books exist, so I thought, I'll just put them all in a format.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody pick this up seriously. It's a beautiful book, beautiful illustrations, sketches, some cartoony stuff, and some paintings. And you said in the foreword that this is all digital painting?
No, most of it. It's I draw everything by pencil and then I scan it and I usually color it in Photoshop. But some of the older stuff in there is acrylic.
Okay. All right.
I'm too lazy these days to actually sit there, paint.
Okay, so what? I know Lenore's coming out 4 issues a year, you said. So what's up next? Like, what is Lenore going to get into now? In trouble.
I'm going to do a very exciting episode where she wants to make a sandwich. That is the next episode. That is the next issue of Lenore. But there's a thing in the fridge that won't let her do it. Also, for the first time, somebody from the outside world, I'm still figuring it out, but I think it's going to be like a mailman or the gas company guy, goes into the house to do like a regular maintenance thing. It's just like, what the hell is this? And Pootie kills him because he's like, we can't have word getting out of what's happening in here. They're going to dissect you, because you're dead. So they cover the body, as you do with a blanket. And then they tell Lenore about it. She's like, you used my blanket, my whoopee. And she's like, well, get my whoopee off the dead guy. And they go, and the dead guy's gone with the whoopee. So they have to find the whoopee and make a sandwich. That's my next issue of Lenore.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well,
glad you could make it, Amber.
Why don't we open it up to some questions right now? Because I know y'all probably have some questions for Roman.
Fez guy.
Where exactly did taxidermy come from? What was the inspiration there?
I should turn off my phone. It's going nuts. Hello? I have a 7-foot version of him in my house, and he is terrifying. And I just made it and thought he would be a good character to put in the book. But every now and then, that guy's head, it's built on a female mannequin because I needed to make him skinny. So taxidermy actually has boobs. A lot of people don't know that. But his head is detachable when I move him around. So over time, his head has become a little bit, it's not stiff anymore. So one time I was playing video games with my friend. We're on the couch, we're just playing whatever we're playing. And we both just stopped and went, because its head started turning, looking at us. But yeah, so it was basically a big toy I built and thought he would be good at the books.
So I noticed in the book you have a theme of like the heartstring in each kind of image, or almost most of them. And I was wondering what that was like symbolizing, because I know Rita Kahlo did a painting where it was similar, and she had like her chest opened up and had like a piece of string coming out from it. So was it inspiration for her?
I don't know who that is, but I will. I just use it for flow. I just like the feeling of it. And when I do a piece, if it needs a certain balance, I just like to, use sinew. So, flowy sinew. Really don't have a better answer than that. There's no real deep meaning behind it.
Anybody else? Questions?
Well, this is going well.
Okay.
What does Lenore sound like?
She's got a raspy voice. I can't do it because my voice is like this. That kind of thing, but I can't do it.
Okay.
So why did you decide to start a volume 2? Why did you end at like issue 13 and then start back?
Yeah, that wasn't my call. I hate that, and it's confusing a lot of people.
Yeah.
They Titan went, well, we're a new publisher. Let's start it off fresh. And they started off freshly confusing because a lot of people, they'll be like issue 5 and they come out. It's really confusing. I hate it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It's really annoying. Good call on their part.
Yeah. Just wanted to pimp stuff. The shirts.
I want
I
a
want
shirt.
all of those and all the books as well.
I have them.
Gimme.
I wanted to go back a little bit. Back. Swirlies coming out in August.
Yes, finally. It's only been 5 or 6 years since I had another book.
We need a new one, a new anthology put together. Any more questions? Oh, there we go.
On the topic of publishers, do you have any advice for what you want out of them?
I heard the first part. The last part is a mystery.
Do you have any advice on how to get what you want out of them?
For the most part, I just tell them what to do, and they do it. But every now and then, they have to show me who's boss and make a stand on certain issues. But for the most part, if you work with them, they'll work with you. Unless they're like a big mean publisher. I don't know those guys. Yes, Spiky Hat.
I know when you started, you went along with Mr. Vasquez. You guys were kind of slave labor wasn't as big as it is now, obviously, and there was a smaller group that read your comics. Do you feel did you feel more for it when there was a smaller group, or do you like how how it's expanded and there's tons more fans?
I really don't think about it because I don't do any of my issues where I think, will people like this? I just do what I think is funny, and it's hit or miss. I think some weird stuff is funny, and fortunately, some other people think it's funny. So, yeah, I've never thought it out. I don't know. I really need some coffee.
Any other questions? None? Oh. I saw you first.
Okay.
And you.
Let them battle.
Ever thought of doing any, one-shots on any of the other casts?
I wanted to do one about taxidermy, but it's, I drew the first 6 pages or 7 pages of it, but I drew that 10 years ago, so it looks like crap. If I did it now, I would continue off those 6 or 7 pages, and it's just going to look bizarre. It's going to look like a kid did the first part, and then dad took over.
Okay, maybe this is super common knowledge and I'm just oblivious, but I only recently I heard you dig or do magic. Is that true? And if so, could you talk about it? I haven't heard much of that.
Yeah, I used to be a close-up magician, and that was my job. So I would, but I wasn't the guy with the cape or anything. It was just I worked at bars and restaurants, and while you waited for your meal, I was the guy that came and harassed you. Look at the quarter, where'd it go? And they're like, I don't know, can I get a napkin? That was my job. But I did that for a long time. I still like to mess with my drunk friends, and hey, look, here's the check, magic.
My roommate keeps calling you the magician because he's like, isn't this guy like a magician or something? Man, no, he's an artist.
Yeah,
now I have to go.
Stuff. And they always, every time I see a write-up, it's like, artist and magician. I'm like, okay, you know, I used to play with Play-Doh when I was a kid too, and you know, I plays with Play-Doh.
Yeah.
I think it's on Wikipedia, so people just go there and find out.
Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds cool.
It does.
I like it.
A long time ago, there was some Lenore like animation done,
Mhm.
which is still, you can still find it on YouTube easily. But
Yeah.
is there any future plans for any animation things?
I'm working with Neil Gaiman right now. We're trying to get a Lenore movie made. So we've been.
Joygasm.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it nonchalantly, but trust me, behind closed doors, I'm like. But it's. We just had meetings about it the other day, and it went really well. We have the production house that already wants to do it, and I can't say with whom yet until it's all official, but we're on the last stage right now where it's, the money people are figuring it out whether it's viable or not. So hopefully it is, because I really want to do this.
Yay!
As a fellow, artist and writer, how does it feel to work with someone of the, like Neil Gaiman? I mean, he's kind of like the legend. Like, are you like a huge fan of his?
Yeah. So yeah, to me, I that came about because I got his email address from my publisher because I'd heard that he collected Lenore, read the book, so I'm like, well, I'll take a shot in the dark. I didn't know him, I'll take a shot in the dark. I'll email him and ask him to do the forward. And he wrote back, yeah, I'll do the forward. Cool, awesome, this makes my day. And then about a week after that, I was going through my email, and I saw in my send, I had sent him something at like 4 in the morning. I'm like, what did I send him? And I looked, and I sent him the script that I'd written to the Lenore movie. I was like, when did I? How some people drunk in text, I apparently drunk script. But it worked out, so he liked it and wanted us to make the movie. So
That's awesome.
Actually, I noticed this on the back of this. It's a great little blurb from Neil Gaiman that says, I like the way Roman Dirge draws stuff, especially when it's wiggly.
That's just because my hands shake. Everything's going to be wiggly.
So, yeah, when I saw that.
The problem with, I was just thinking about this the other day, is with Swirlies, is that I've named all my books after childhood tortures.
Yes.
And I'm running out of childhood torture, so I really need the kids to get on this. And create some new...
Pink belly.
I need them to hurt each other with clever
Pink
names.
belly.
Pink belly? Oh, pink bellies!
Indian rugburns.
Well, I was going to call it Wet Willies, but apparently that means something horrible in London.
Ugh.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, not horrible, but something magical.
Oh, any other questions?
Besides Lenore, are you going to do any other little side stories? I know you did the cat with the really big head and.
I want to do this book. I started it a while ago, and Tidy wants to do it. I want to do the most gory children's book ever made. Yes. But I want parents to return this complaining, because the cover looks like the most adorable thing. It's called I Can Count to 10. And it has these little characters. They're just adorable, the little pupils, big eyes. And they, one will come out and he says, hi everybody, I am one. All by myself, I am one. And it shows, the number one and then how to spell one, and then, in case you didn't know, and then, the second guy will come out, he's like, I'm two, and they hold hands, they're like, yeah, together we're two, and then it keeps going like that, until all of a sudden it's like number 4 or 5 comes out, and it's just this huge, insidious monster, and there's you're number, 6, and the thing's just like, oh, just starts tearing into him, but the other ones keep coming. They're like, hi, I'm number 8. Oh, Jesus, what is happening? And then one digs a hole and uses the body of a dead one to pull over itself. They stack the bodies against the corner so that new ones don't come in, and it just gets... They never make it to 10. I really want to work on that book.
He's a preschool teacher.
I teach preschool. I would gladly read that to my class.
But I really want no warning on the front of it. Like, this is not a kid's book. I just want it to. Oh, come on.
We'll just shelve it next to Go the F to Sleep. Have you heard of that book? Oh, okay. It's a bedtime book. It's called Go the F to Sleep.
Cool. I like it already.
Shelve it next to it.
Got tigers.
More questions? Anybody?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Bring it.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
So I love Ragamuffin's my favorite character, and there was the one issue where Cody shows him the album of all the pictures he's taken of him with sleep. Have you ever done that with anyone? Was that based on like something you did for your friends?
Roommates back in the day, back in my college day, they were all scarred for life. Just horrible things we did to each other. But it was all, for fun. But yeah, I want to make that album. I thought that would be really fun, but my publisher's not into the idea. But I want to make an entire album of the things that they did to Ragamuffin while he's sleeping. Just his amazing adventures that he doesn't know about that he's had. I think it would be a really funny concept.
Okay, so I want to know, where do you get your inspiration from? Like, as a kid, were you a huge horror movie fan, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Not sleeping. That's a big factor in what I come up with. I drink a lot. Hanging out with friends. I don't know. It's just I'll sit on the couch and just stare at. It looks like I'm watching TV. My girlfriend can attest to this. It just looks like I'm for 2 days watching TV, and she thinks I'm being really lazy. But then I'll be like, okay, this is what I came up with. So for 2 days I was staring at nothing basically, and I came up with my next story. Like a sandwich. The next story about the sandwich. So yeah. Who's the best guy?
What exactly were you playing when taxidermy looked at you?
It's hard to remember because that sort of scarred me so horribly that it wiped out any previous knowledge I had at that moment. But it was probably something awesome. We were shooting stuff. That's what I remember.
That's always fun.
Yes. Well, in games, that's fine. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. You could be that guy.
Tomato, tomato.
Okay. Do you still make sticks of dynamite?
Oh, the tampon dynamite? No, I let that one go. I think the last time I made tampon dynamite, I was probably 6 or 7.
I don't know if you know what my mom came home to the neighbors on the front porch wanting to talk to her because I had taken my mom's tampons and painted them red and I was throwing them at everybody like, they're just like, really? You gotta do something with this kid. So yes, not legally have I done that.
Oh, there we go.
A while ago you worked on the Haunted Mansion books. I was wondering, any other plans, anything Disney-related, Haunted Mansion, or anything else-wise?
No, because that was with slave labor, and I'm not with them anymore. But I have a good relationship with Disney. I like every 6 months or so go there to pitch a show. I'm still trying to get a show made there because I really love Disney. But usually the stuff I come up with isn't really doesn't really interlock that well with Disney sensibilities. So I try, but everything just comes out warped no matter what I do. Can't hold it.
Jonah can get a show on Nickelodeon, you can get a show on Disney.
Yes, but how long did that show last on Nickelodeon?
That's why they had bloody hair.
A lot of what?
That's why they had bloody hair.
Bloody.
For like a single scene in like a few episodes, just like a 60. I'm not sure what the frame rate on that was, but they put a little picture of bloody hair up.
All right, thank you for that. A lot of people don't know is the way we got a lot of those episodes made, like, harvesting children's organs and whatnot on that Kids Network, was we would turn in something way worse than that first. And they'd be like, oh my God. And we're like, okay, can we just harvest children's organs? And they're like, oh, thank you, yes, harvest. Little known fact.
How do you divide your time between
the full-on comics project like Lenore and then the art that was in taxidermies?
Well, now it's a lot harder because now with doing the 4 books a year, it's I have like a week off now, and then I immediately have to start working on the next issue. It's really cutting into my video game time, but I do a lot of the art pieces as like that's my way of relaxing. Lenore, I have to get done by a certain time. The art pieces, I can do it whenever I want, and eventually it'll collect into another book. Like 20 years from now, it'll collect into another book. I'll be dead, but whatever.
We're taking questions for all of you who came in a little bit later. So if anybody has any questions.
Oh, look at
Oh, back there, back.
How would you describe yourself to someone who's never heard
That's a good one.
I would just say run. Do yourself a favor, just don't get involved with this. You'll be better off for it.
No one's really asking questions, so what
Thanks.
video games are you playing right now?
I was playing Skyrim, and then I was playing. We just got Fable 3 from like the discount bin, so I've been playing that. And really, that's it. Like I said, my gaming time has been cut into. It's a tragic reality.
Have you ever thought of doing like an alternate video game art? Like I know there's been collections like Join the Assault for Bioshock. Have you ever thought of doing?
Yeah, I would if they asked me. I mean, Bioshock was my favorite game.
Yeah.
And I saw that, I was like, Jonah, you son of a... You got to do that. But, yeah, I would love to do it on games that I love. Yeah. But Bioshock is my favorite game.
Oh.
So, what draws you to writing for or about children?
I really hate them. They're all slimy and fast. I don't know. I still just, for someone that has such a poor memory, I have memory issues, but I remember my childhood perfectly, and I don't know how that happened, but so it's just really easy to write about kids because that's basically my last memory is being a kid.
So, okay, so you're talking about doing a Lenore movie. Would you ever want to write for television again?
Yeah, if it were a project I liked, yeah, for sure. I'm always looking at stuff. Things get presented, and I'm always pitching stuff. I have a writing partner that we work on to try to get TV shows made, and we come up with a new show about once every 6 months that we go off fiction. So hopefully, eventually, one of them will hook. But I got to try the places other than Disney.
Who is your personal favorite character that you've come up with?
Taxidermy is my favorite character.
Yeah.
And he's about to shine in the newer issues. Like, you're going to learn some stuff about him in his past. Like, he's a terrifying bastard. He's really nice, and he's a gentleman, he takes care of Lenore, she can always count on him. But don't turn your back on that guy. So, I mean, he's always sort of been there in the series. He'll make little appearances. He lives in a cabin in the woods out back, and that's it. That's basically what you know about him. He has some friends, maybe. You saw the issue where the zombie Nazis came, and he showed up and saved the day with all these other taxidermy guys. So I want to get into what his deal is. And, you can, if you see the new issue, if you get issue 5, you actually see his cabin for the first time and go inside. And he's got articles collected on the wall from papers from the 40s about a serial killer called the Orphanage. So you can imagine where this is going.
Oh, jeez.
Do you have any advice for new writers who are trying to pitch animated shows?
Getting an agent is good for that, because it's very hard to just, you can't just show up to a studio and be like, hi, look at my thingy. They don't react well to that. I've tried that. And then I realized I should have rephrased, look at my thingy as script. An agent will, if you get a decent agent, they'll get you into, the various places you want to go.
Like Disney.
Yes, that's worked out well.
questions? Back there.
How did you manage the art of Scarlet?
For Scarlet? Jessica's an old friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it was a no-brainer.
Way back.
That was basically over drinks. Can we draw something? Yeah. And a week later, I drew it. This is really going well.
We're just in awe.
Yeah. It's more like a, oh, this is sad.
A ton of questions from what I heard, so. Yes, go ahead.
So, this is something I think different for-ish, I don't know that I can call it what you do entirely for. Everyone has, I think, a different way of dealing with it. Like, some people write in order to kind of keep the demons at bay. Some people are just reading it doesn't seem to bother them. They're like, what category would you put yourself in? Or how do you deal with the fact that that taxi be staring at you?
I do find it very cathartic to do certain pieces. Yeah, I have a lot of terrible dreams, and I find that I get the same reoccurring dreams, the same creatures and monsters, and so usually if I can paint them or draw them out, it sort of exercises them. Exorcise. Yes, I like to give them a good workout. Get them bigger and scarier for me. That'd be great.
Oh, back there.
The first series of Lenore, everything was done in black and white. When you moved to type, you did everything in color. Have you always had an intention of having Lenore in color?
I did. Yeah, Slave Labor at the time, that's all they allowed was black and white because it was cheaper. But I always saw it in color. You know, because we see things in color, most of us. We're not dogs.
Unless you dream in black and white.
Do we dream in black and white?
Some people do.
A lot of really bloody dreams, and I recognize it as being blood.
Yeah, I don't dream in black and white, but some people do, from what I've been told.
Sad people.
Do you, like, would you ever consider doing superhero comics? And, like, do you have a favorite? Or do you Marvel versus DC? Or do you read any of the mainstream?
If I had to pick one, I would definitely go more Marvel. But somebody asked me at a panel I was at in New York if I would ever do a superhero comic, and I just sort of blew it off as, no, I would never do that just because there's people that can do it better. But that's really haunted my mind since I said that. And just recently I thought, what if I did a superhero? How would that turn out? So I sort of just started sketching one out called String Bean. And it's like Kick-Ass if Clive Barker did it. So it's really disgusting, and, you know, I'm working on it right now, but I'm not going to draw the book. I need to find an artist that I can collaborate with because I just won't have time to do it. But I have the designs for them and stuff. And I'll show it to you. It's on my phone if you want to see it later.
I want to see.
Excited. Yeah, more questions. So you just came in. We are taking questions.
Thank you.
When you first started doing Lenore, what were you thinking at the time? Did you ever imagine it would end up being this big?
No. I did. If you don't know, Lenore started out of desperation. I was doing a magazine for friends. I was publishing local artists, and that's when I was doing magic. So I thought I was going to be a magician. And I went to turn in the magazine I was publishing, and they told me that I think it was 7 or 8 blank pages was the minimum that could be printed. And it had to go to print the next day, or the advertisers that I got to print this thing would pull out. So overnight, I had to figure out something to put in those blank pages. And I was looking at, I had just visited my grandparents, and my little cousin, who was, I don't know, 2 or 3, had doodled on a napkin. And I was looking at that napkin, and I was like, Lenore. I don't know, somehow that worked. And I just drew out the thing overnight. I don't know where it came from, or the first one had Mr. Gosh in it. And yeah, had I known that that would end up being my life's work, I might have put a little more thought into it, but other than a doodle. But yeah, it was a weird genesis. Sad.
Is there any chance we'll see an animated Lenore? And if so, who would you choose as the voice?
The person who was asking about, there's a band called Scarling, the singer, her name's Jessica. I always pictured her voice as Lenore's voice. She can do this really funny high-pitched voice that I always envisioned. She was going to do it for the animated shorts I did with Sony 10, 12 years ago, but that was during the actor strike, so we couldn't use any American voice talent, and I had to go to Canada. And they went, well, here's some voices we thought sort of sounded like the voices you picked out in America, and they weren't. Like, yeah, I guess if you were really, really high, these might sound like the voices that I picked out.
There was the one Lenore which was titled The Raven, where she actually eats the raven. Were you ever considering putting more of an Edgar Allan Poe connection into any?
Not really. That was the one time. I mean, yeah, I got the name. It all sort of fit together. I mean, a dirge for the doubly dead, and that she died so young. I'm like, hey, that's my name. You know, and then, you know, her golden locks, and yeah. So I mean, I sort of tied it all together, but you know, it's very loosely based on Poe's work. You know, but I don't know. I don't really plan that far ahead. So I mean, someday I might, you know, do a Lenore, a Poe-related Lenore issue. That might be actually kind of fun to do. But I'd have to make him proud. I'd have to make Poe proud. That's tough.
You can't just have her use a pendulum to slice somebody.
That's too easy. You know, it's got to be accidental at this point. You know, I've sort of, when I first started, I didn't really know what Lenore's going to be, but Lenore's not a malicious character. Like, she would never go out of her way to purposely hurt something. So it's, you know, I'd have to do it in a way where she accidentally, horribly mutilates something with a pendulum. And then setting that up might be difficult. You know.
What's this do? Oh.
Yes.
Have you ever considered like Cartoon Network or Adult Swim over Disney?
Yeah, we had at Cartoon Network, we went and pitched the show, and they wanted it, and we went through some rewrites, and it was at the contract stage where we were going to get our show. And then the president and vice president that we had been talking to of the network that wanted to do it both left. And it had a complete regime change, and the new people didn't want it. We're like, why didn't you just sign the contract? We were days away from getting this show. It was very upsetting. So I don't know anybody there now. I don't know the people to talk to, but I mean, I guess I can set it up if I really wanted to.
I mean, Cartoon Network has been giving shows that aren't necessarily children's shows lately. I mean, they had Blackjack, and they had regular show and Adventure Time. They're not necessarily kid shows. So you think now that they're kind of open towards newer things, if you tried again?
Maybe. I mean, we have, my friend and I have created probably 10 to 12 shows that no one's heard about, and they're all funny. The one we really want to pitch to a place right now is called Princess Star Pony, and it's you know, like a magical world with elves and, you know, talking trees and whatnot. And there's the protector of the 7 realms, and it's Princess Star Pony. And once Princess Star Pony, you know, it's more like a teenage girl. Once she gets too old, they pass on the mantle to a new Princess Star Pony. They do the coronation, put the crown on the new one. She gets all the power and becomes Princess Star Pony. So we have a little character called was it Magus or Magnus, or yeah, I think it was Magus. And he goes to watch it because he thinks, yeah, there's gonna be cute girls here. You know, I'm gonna go do it. He's from a Viking culture, but he's like this tall. And he's got a huge helmet with giant horns to make himself look bigger. And he thinks when the tree is about to crown the new Princess Star Pony, that the tree is falling on her and pushes her out of the way just as the crown lands on his head, and he becomes Princess Star Pony. And, he's really upset about it. He's like, look, I don't want to be Princess Star Pony. You know, it's really embarrassing, guys. They're like, well, all right, you know, all you have to do is lose a battle, and then you'll lose the power. And it's like, well, I can't lose a battle. You know, his culture is like, we don't lose battles. So it's really frustrating for this character to have to deal with it. I don't know. So we want to pitch that. We pitched that to Disney, and they said, oh yeah, we love this. I think your next meeting will be the top guy, and you know, we'll call you and let you know when that happens. And then weeks go by and I get an email going, yeah, they passed. You know, we went up and showed it ourselves. But I would have liked to have done it because I get up and I, you know, work stuff out and, you know, do little voices and stuff.
You should like get some sort of grassroots roots, like Facebook movement or something behind this, so that they can see like
Kickstarter.
Yeah, Kickstarter, exactly like MC Chris did recently with his cartoon. Was there a question?
No, just my friend John Schnepper there is doing a Kickstarter right now for animated Grimm fairy tale series. John, what's that? You want to talk about that for a second?
Hi. Yeah, we're trying to do an anthology series based on the Zenoscope comic, but I'm kind of like taking it like on like I want to make a heavy metal movie, like an R-rated heavy metal movie, and every single Grimm fairy tale will be done by a different artist. And I just talked with Roman yesterday, bringing him on to be one of the animated segments. So.
Excellent.
So yeah, we got a lot of different artists: Bill Sienkiewicz, Alex Hardy, Roman, Eric Powell. I mean, it's just sort of like my friends and people that I like. And,
You're drinking buddies, basically.
We're drinking friends, and just amazing artists. So you know, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. So you guys can contribute any money, help me and Roman now make this thing. So
No pressure.
No pressure. Even $1, but it's like that's what we're doing now. I think Kickstarter is great. It's crowdsourcing, and ultimately, if a project happens, it's because people want it to, as opposed to a network forcing you to watch a program. So.
And where can they find this? Where can I find this?
Kickstarter and type in Grimm, Grimm, animated, and that'll pop up.
Awesome.
And, check it out. Thanks. Go back to Roman.
Okie dokie. Let's see. Any more questions back there?
Never preference something with don't be mad what I'm about to ask.
Have you seen that they have like a live action version of what they did with Lenore?
Yeah, no, that was fan made, and she sent it to me, and I loved it. I thought it was really funny. If you haven't seen it, there's if you type in Lenore live action in YouTube, you find it. It's adorable. They did a really good job. They made the little girl's eyes all huge digitally, and it looks really smooth and cool. She presented that to me as, hey, look, and I want your permission to go have this made. I was like, whoa. You know, I mean, I appreciate the balls that took to do, but you know, I don't want to do Lenore live action, but she did a great job.
And would you be thinking, like, what kind of animation are you thinking of? Like stop motion animation? Or?
I'm actually thinking, originally I was thinking CG, but now I'm thinking stop motion. Because I've been shown some concept stuff, and I'm veering that way. It would be like that.
Any more questions?
What would we do with music?
I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead. Maybe Kevin Haskins from Love Rockets, because we know each other and he did some stuff for me before, and I really liked it. Be nice to work with him again.
Wow. She go downstairs with GFX 316, who's doing the DJ, and just
oh man, I love that. Throwing a little bass with it at the same time.
I like this.
Like I said, I sit around a lot, so I have to educate myself.
Do you do that while you're drawing or writing? Just
I do, don't I? I do that all the time, Amber, huh? Yes, it's really annoying. Sorry.
That's what Lenore's soundtrack sounds like.
It's amazing. It's amazing I'm not single.
Any other questions?
Is Neil Gaiman still producing your Lenore movie?
Yes.
And have you found a director yet?
I have some people in mind, but nothing's official yet. We have to wait until we find out about the money part that's happening right now. Right now it's all gentlemen in expensive suits figuring out the final details. And once that's figured out, if it goes forward, then believe me, I will announce the hell out of it and give you all the details.
Who would be your #1 choice for a director?
I'd actually really like my friend over there, John. He directed Metalocalypse, and he's a very talented director. You know, I'd like to suggest him when the time comes.
Since we lost it a little late, what are your current projects? You might have answered this question, or it might have been presented, but what are you working on currently?
I'm working on that whole sandwich issue of Lenore. The superhero comic, I'm getting the conceptual stuff for that done. A bunch of new artwork. That I don't know if you heard about the I Can Count to 10 book, if you were here for that book. Should I just start over? Like, hi, everybody. No. A lot of stuff at the same time. That's why it takes a long time for me to get anything out. It's not because I'm not doing it, it's just that my attention span on any one project at any given time is erratic. I like to draw something and then I'm bored with it for the moment, I need to draw this thing. So, you know, when things come out, I have a lot of it all at the same time, fortunately.
So, since you just draw stuff continually, would you be looking to do a follow-up to Taxidermy, just another art book at some point?
Yeah, well that's the goal, but it'll be a while for me to collect that much art again. Yeah. Otherwise it's going to be a book of like 4 pages, and it's not really that exciting of a book. Doesn't make it scratch and skin.
Do you have like posters or anything of this artwork that people can get? Or?
I have them on my website. There's some prints of it at spookyland.com. But just we randomly put stuff from the book up there.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can always. I'm totally fine with it. Anybody can scan it at 600 dpi and print it out themselves. Go nuts.
Oh, back there.
The scratchy stuff. What does taxidermy smell?
He would smell like an old book.
Okay.
That kind of thing, or grandma's closet. That's what I picture taxidermy smelling like. That is what you asked, right? Yeah. You're kind of a weird fellow, aren't you? Have you been like wondering that for a while? Or?
Is there any chance for a Ragmuffin one-shot or a solo adventure?
Yeah, I've been asked about that for a long time. I'd like to. The problem I'm having with it is, you know, I would have liked to have really done his origin right, but I sort of just glossed over it in like issue 3 of the original series. So, I mean, I already established what happened to him, but I would have liked to have shown it further. And in my script for the movie, if that all comes to fruition, there's a more detailed thing about that whole moment of where all that goes down. And how, like, Lenore comes across him, and, yeah. So, I don't know, maybe someday I'll have an adventure where he's just separated. I'd really like something to happen with Lenore Ragmuffin and Booty. Yeah. Like them, you know, the buddy cop adventure. Right, the buddy cop adventure that just goes, you know, horribly wrong. It's a good idea, thank you. I will make money off your idea, and you will get down there.
Anybody else?
Would you be interested in bringing back the tattoo flash pages?
Yeah, I'm going to. I know the last few issues haven't had a lot of extras in them, and that's been because with my new schedule, I'm still learning to adjust to that, like doing books faster. And the last 3 issues, I hate it when people say literally, but they really have literally been them on the phone in London going, if we don't get it right now, it's going to get canceled. And we'd be like, it's done! Totally, I finished it like an hour ago, you didn't get it? You know, so like, drawing it. And so I've sent it and just met the deadline by minutes every time. And they're like, all right. You know, kind of a thing. So I just haven't had room, or the time and room to get, you know, the other stuff done. But I have a lot of like things involving me stories that I have, because I haven't run out of crappy stuff that's happened to me, and I love to talk about it and tell these tales and embarrass myself. I just like doing that.
Any other questions? No.
How much freedom do you give up working with these studios trying to get these animation projects, especially the Lenore movie?
You know, it depends. The first time, I almost had a Lenore movie made. Oh man, I don't know. It was around the same time I did those animated shorts, so it was around between 10 or 12 years ago. And Sony was going to do it. And that was my first time dealing with, you know, studios, and I was all excited, and yeah, we're gonna make a movie. But what I didn't know is, you know, they said, hey, we love your character, this would be a great film, and I'm like, I agree, you know. And then they're like, well, but we don't want you to be involved in it at all. What? Why, Brian? So they had other people write it, and it was awful, just awful. Like they made Lenore have a sister named Raven, you know, I mean, just every cliche you could imagine. And in the end, I had to make a very tough decision. I could have a movie that I don't like, and you know, a private jet, or I could have some dignity and not, you know, I could look at myself in a mirror and not have this thing made. So I didn't want it made. But over the past decade or so, I've grown. So now I can actually, you know, I've written the script, and just me, nobody touching it, and now I want that made. And that's pretty much the only way that I will allow this to happen. And Neil agrees, and the studio that we talked to that wants to make it agrees. So far, we're all, you know, we're all together in this. I mean, I'll see what happens once it starts getting made, but I'm going to make sure the movie that comes out is the one that I want made. That was a really long, boring answer, but that's... Jam it, that if I make a movie, it's going to be the one that I've been wanting to see in my head for the last 10 years.
I think that's the answer we all want.
Yes.
Are you gonna make any more dance videos like your milkshake video?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see any more dance videos in the near future. I'm getting old, you know, the bones are hurting. I just put up a video of Lenore dancing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have I found it. I'm gonna have a Lenore plushie and a little ragamuffin plushie finally coming out. And so I got the prototype of Lenore and I made a little video of her just rocking out. You know? Yeah, no more me.
Yeah. What prompted that exactly? Just late night and...
What, you don't you don't film dolls dancing? Oh, that was if you've never seen this, you can still find it on YouTube. But my girlfriend back then, at the time, she was really frustrated that she had to go to a real job, and she hated that she had to get up in the morning and, you know, go to work, come home. I'm still on the couch in my underwear, and like, what up? And so she's like, just do something with your day. Show me you did something. I was like, challenge accepted. so I got out a green screen and put on a Darth Vader helmet and a shirt that said evil and did the milkshake dance. And then composited scenes of Star Wars behind me horribly. You know, it looks awful. And then she's like, okay, what did you do? I'm like, check this out. And she's like, oh my God. Like, why do you get paid to do stuff? I was like, I don't know. She never once asked me to do anything to prove I did something.
Any ETA on when those plushies are going to be coming out?
I don't know. I approved the Lenore one. I haven't got the prototype for Ragamuffin yet. Yeah, I don't know. But I think soon. I mean, usually the time of when I say yes, do this, to the time it comes out is pretty quick.
Awesome. More questions?
Do you have any characters rolling around the back of your head that almost made it into Lenore and you thought, no, it's a little too weird, it's a little too extreme, doesn't quite fit?
Have I ever thought of a character that's too strange to put in Lenore? No, I pretty much run with whatever. I think the only time I even questioned myself was there was an issue where Lenore wanted Ragamuffin to eat a banana, and he's like, no, I don't like bananas. And she's like, eat the goddamn banana. You know, he's like, I don't want the banana. It just goes on, and basically what happened was it became an 8-page banana joke. So I turned that into my publisher, and they're like, did you really just wipe out a quarter of your story to put in an 8-page banana joke? I'm like, yeah, it's funny, right? They're like, all right, man. So I think that was the only time I really questioned, like, should I have done an 8-page banana joke? But it was funny. I mean, Creeping, I mean, the new issue is creeping. That came from my friend misspelling creeping in a Facebook message we were having back and forth. So for my friend's horrible spelling habits, you know, a floating pig wraith took up 2 issues of Lenore. By the way, when we were talking about publishers, like how you deal with them, this is how I deal with them, is that they're like, so what's the new issue? I'm like, it's based off my friend's typo, and it's a pig wraith, and if you eat bacon or, what is it? If you eat multiple pork products after midnight, creeping comes and gets you. And they're like, what? They're like, you're not serious, right? I'm like, oh, I'm serious. And then they had kind of a problem with it, so what I did was I made it a 2-part. I made it a 2-issue story. They're like, you son of a bitch. And when I turned it in, too, I turn pages in as I'm doing them. So the second page is, well, we're really page 2 and 3 when you pull it out. It said, you know, the second chapter of an 8-part octology, and they're like, but then, because I didn't put the not kidding part yet under it, and so they were just like, I didn't get any feedback for 2 days, because you could tell meetings were happening, where they're like, how do we deal with these? Because at this point, they're going to believe that I'm going to do it. They're like, how do we deal with this 8-page pig wraith situation? You know? They've never had that come up before. They've never had to deal with an 8-page pig wraith situation. So, yeah, that's...
I would say that the scene from the animated short where Ragamuffin is trying to feed, and he's pointlessly trying to snuggle his way to precious blood.
I like that. I wish I had thought to call it that. Snuggle his way into precious blood.
Soft, like, plush little thing, trying to snuggle its way.
Like kitty kisses.
Precious fluids, and just can't. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
You gotta get out more.
We have time for a couple more questions. Anybody have some?
Come on, we were doing so well.
Okay, so how do you get this creative freedom that you have? It's kind of enviable that you can turn in this pig wraith story and then they just like, all right, we'll let it happen.
I honestly don't know how I get away with that, but I do. I mean, you know, now that I'm rushed too, things have to, basically when a new issue comes out, or if I turn in a new issue, I, at that exact same time, have to give the description of the next issue that I haven't thought of yet. Because they need to put it in previews and all that stuff, and I have to come up with a cover for it. So I kind of screwed myself this time, because I jokingly kind of went, it's about a sandwich. Lenore wants a sandwich. And they're like, okay. And they actually put the, you know, about a sandwich. So now I have to do an issue about, I have to figure out a funny issue about a sandwich. But again, challenge accepted. I'm going to pull it off.
What are your future plans for Lenore comic book wise as they go on? Do you ever have any plans maybe one day to back up to somehow get some sort of breath of being like what he was once?
Yeah, and I actually did that in an issue. Pootie's pitchfork is magic. And so he, as Pootie was dying, where he was going on the long sleeve, which turned out to be 8 minutes, but that was a long time for a demon, he stuck Ragamuffin with it as he was dying, and he turned into his former self, and he was fighting zombie Nazis, and he just tore through them with his cool clawy finger things, and yeah, and he was really stoked too. He's like, yes, you know, this is the greatest thing ever. And then he shrunk back down into his little self, and now he's pathetic.
Was there another question over here? Thought I saw one. No.
Hey, can somebody tell me that's from here? What's the deal with the park with the headless statues? That's really been messing with me. The nearest I can figure is it's like to commemorate the time you defeated the giants by beheading them. Apparently that happened here. I can't figure out like what that's about.
The big ones that are like tall and Michigan Avenue.
Is there another park with different headless? There's a ton of them.
There's one on Michigan Avenue called Agora that has.
That's it.
It's about it's between the Neolithic Revolution and before that, where you were like hunter gatherers.
But do you know what it's about? There's nothing explaining it. It just says from Poland.
They're like Gaiman
I figured maybe it was a misunderstanding. They heard you guys defeated the Giants, like it's a sporting thing, and nobody wanted to tell Poland. You're like, oh, Poland. You know, they weren't really Giants, Poland. All right. Cool. Are we done? Did we do it?
We just have one last little thing. There we go.
That's the
Signing.
time that my head had worms in it.
What?
That's the commemorating the time I had worm in it.
Nice.
Worm head.
Yeah.
No, you'd be surprised. It's sort of soothing.
It's wiggly.
So let's see. We've got today from 3 to 4, autograph table number 3, and tomorrow from 2 to 3 at autograph table number 2. Cool. You're just switching back and forth. There are signs out there too in case you need to look at the schedules and see when he's signing. And
Hey!
Thank you all for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you.